What's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talks Tone, and I got a new guitar. The ES335 inspired by Gibson Epiphone. In the very popular or unpopular, depending on who you are, Blueberry Burst. I kind of really like it. Today we're going to talk about the difference between quality control problems and setup. After my whole Gibson Les Paul versus Epiphone Les Paul video, a lot of people got the weird misunderstanding that I don't like Epiphone products. What's really funny about it is I had already decided to buy one of these before I even made that video because these are so cool. The other thing is that a lot of people, I think, have a misconception about what quality control problems are when they're buying a guitar, and it really is influenced not only by the guitar itself, but also where you buy the guitar. Like choosing the shop that you buy the guitar from. I'm just going to be super upfront about this. I bought this guitar at a Guitar Center. And the reason I did is because I couldn't get it anywhere else. We were in Wisconsin at the time, and I looked all over Wisconsin at small dealerships trying to find this guitar. Because of course you want to support a small business. But I wanted it specifically, couldn't find one. Tracked one down in Madison, Wisconsin, drove there and got it, and it is fantastic pretty much quality-wise, and it's still pretty much unplayable. The reason I think it's important to make this video is because there should be an important distinction between quality control on a guitar and setup. I think even with Gibson guitars, a lot of times people talk about quality control issues, and Epiphone is better than Gibson because of quality control. And I'm going to show you a couple of things using this guitar of why I think that's a bunch of crap, number one. And number two, we're going to look at the setup on this guitar, and I'm going to show you how terrible it is. So this is an Epiphone, right? And everybody says that the quality on these things is so amazing, and why would you ever buy a Gibson? Because Gibson quality control sucks and all. Yeah, it's been a thing for a while, even though it's not really that big a deal anymore. One of the main things is manufacturing. I want to talk about fretboard, tooling, machine marks. This is probably the biggest thing that comes up when we talk about quality control on Gibson products. There's a huge reason why. The reason is because on a Gibson ES335, the binding is going to go over the top of the frets. Why? Because they actually make the neck, they fret the neck, they bind the neck in that order, and then they actually go with a file in between each one, and they, or however they do it, but basically pretty much by hand in between each one and level this all out. So every once in a while you're going to see, especially on these higher frets up here, there's going to be little tooling marks, or there might be a little file where you can see where the file was. Well, on an Epiphone you never see that. So the quality must be way better. Why is that? It's because they make the neck, they bind the neck, and then when they radius the neck with the machine, not by hand, they literally go like this all the way down, and it's totally smooth. Then they put the frets on. On an Epiphone, the only issue you might have is some sharp frets sticking out right here because of that process. The other big issue that people have with Gibsons versus Epiphones is tape lines or paint lines around the binding not being 100% perfect. I've been looking at Epiphone guitars, good Epiphone guitars, not like the cheapest ones, but like the proper inspired by Gibson stuff. They all have the same thing. Tape line right here, tape line right here, and it's usually right here around the heel. Same exact issue all the time. Now there's a huge thing that comes into play with this as well. When people look at an Epiphone guitar and they say, oh, the quality is way amazing, it's way better. First of all, this is a urethane finish. So when you look at a urethane finish, it's totally glassy smooth. There's no like grain showing. There's no shrinkage around the binding. So like if you look at the binding right here, it's like totally smooth as it comes over the top of the corner, over to the side of the guitar. It's totally smooth. On a nitro finished guitar, because of the way nitro acts, it shrinks into the wood over time. So there will always be pretty much a little edge right here that shows. Like there will be a little, you'll be able to feel kind of more, and where the binding meets the body right here on this side, you'll kind of feel that little line right there a little more. So it will almost look like it's poorer quality, but it's not. It's just the finish shrinking into the wood like nitro is supposed to. And you are wanting nitro finishes. Everybody's like, I want a nitro finish because whatever reason. That's what you're going to get. So construction is different from the Epiphone stuff to the Gibson stuff. But I think a lot of people don't realize what that means when they're making that step. And then they expect it to look all glassy and beautiful and smooth. It's just a different finish. That's the quality stuff out of the way. And I know there might be more stuff. I know a lot of people have had other issues and stuff. But those are the two main things. I've like obviously been in groups and Facebook groups and people commenting, hundreds of comments on my videos, literally talking about all this. And those are the main two things that I see come up all the time. We won't talk about peg heads falling off. Don't drop your guitar, it won't break. The other thing, when I look at people buying guitars and I look at comments and people talk about playability of the guitar sucked. This guitar sucks. Let me show you. It's fantastic, but it sucks. Let me show you. Okay. This thing is terrible. It is basically unplayable. Now, I mean, I got through some riffs at the beginning, but you could probably, the sharper eared folks would probably have even been able to tell. It was bad. The intonation is off, the nut's too high, the setup, the action is too high, the pickups are like all wonky. Like, this thing is terrible. I mean, the guitar's awesome, but it's basically unplayable. You would not be able to play this at a gig. And I checked the tuning with a Polytune, third gen, like the Polytune 3, like the new one. It's in tune, but it's not. So, whose fault is that? That's the question. Whose fault is that this guitar is totally out of tune and totally not set up? It's nobody's fault. Why am I bringing this up? I believe that 90% of the actual quality control issues across all brands is more to do with the setup of the guitar than it is the actual quality of the guitar. Don't get those things twisted up, because this is a good guitar. It's good. All the parts are here, the pieces are here, everything is, it's great. The quality control of the guitar is good. There's a little finish thingy right here. That's kind of par for the course. So the guitar is good, but it's unplayable. We have to go through as a consumer and do a complete setup on this guitar to make it playable for gigs or to be in tune. I bought it at a Guitar Center. They literally took it off the wall, put it in the back with no case, because it didn't come with a case. When I got there and I showed up, he just brought it out and he handed it to me. No setup, no tuning, no do you want to check it over, nothing. The guitar just moved through the system. There was no concern for how it was presented to the customer. A really good guitar shop is going to check all this stuff ahead of time. And I know there's going to be people again in the comments that say, yeah, well, the guitar shop can't afford to do that because blah, blah, blah. They want to make their money, $50, whatever, for a setup. I agree with you, but whether you have to pay for a setup or not, or whether the guitar shop does the setup for you, when you pull a guitar off the wall at a guitar store, do not blame the brand for quality problems when they're actually setup problems. So there's going to be a part 2. We're going to go through the setup on this guitar. We're going to do everything that needs to be done to it to get it to play in tune. We're going to make it sound awesome. I'm going to put new strings on it. We're going to set the neck relief, which is way off. We're going to check the nut. We're going to, which needs to be lowered on the E, A, and D at least. And I'm going to show you real close-ups of this and what those issues are. We are going to set the string action down here. We're going to check the saddle height individually. We may have to file each of these saddles because they might need to be adjusted individually, not just up and down as a whole. We are going to check pickup height and obviously put new strings on it because the strings are gross before we even get into modding the guitar or anything. But in our next video, I want to show you what should happen with every guitar, that you own, but especially every guitar that you first purchase before you make an opinion on the quality of the guitar. That's why I kind of want to do this in 2 parts. Like the first part of the video was like, these are actually quality problems, but here's why they are like that, I think. And then the second part is, now that we have that sorted out, let's talk about setup separately. Thanks for hanging out. My name is Dylan. This is Dylan Talks Tone. This is a cool project. We are going to do a bunch of stuff with this. Obviously, the setup video is coming. That's part 2. And then I think part 3 is we're going to work with JerseyShoreGuitarGarage.com. They're going to send us a really cool wiring harness for this that we're going to swap all these pots out. I'm going to show you, because that's the other thing everybody wants to say, that these wiring is so awesome in here because whatever. So we're going to take this all out. We're going to look at what's in here. I already know. So we're going to look at what's in here. I'm going to show you. And then we're going to take these pickups out. I'm going to show you what those are. Then we're going to put some cool pickups in. We're going to make this thing really, really killer over the next few weeks. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Even if you don't totally agree with me, if you like guitar stuff and you want to see more about this kind of stuff, hit that like button because it helps you too. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next video.